Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. They just dropped a brand new Invincible Season 2, Episode 5 trailer video, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. According to the trailer, we'll be getting new episodes starting March 14th. It'll be the rest of the 4 episodes for Season 2, like each season is 8 episodes. They haven't completely revealed when Season 3 is supposed to be released, but Robert Kirkman made it sound like there would be less breaks between seasons, so it is possible that we get Season 3 either at the very end of this year or like early next year. So no more waiting like 2 years between seasons. But the teaser basically picks up in the immediate aftermath of the battle with the Viltrumites on Thragg. Everything is still on fire. General Kregg seems like he's already left with Omni-Man and gone back to the Viltrumites' home planet, and they're putting him in their supermax jail, like a Viltrumite prison with all their other really powerful beings they've captured and have sentenced to death. That's one of the twists of Viltrumite prison. It's basically just a holding cell while they're waiting to execute people. And Battle Beast, who is also captured. So for those of you wanting Battle Beast to come back into the story, he will eventually come back. And basically what happens here with Invincible is that he returns to Earth with Oliver, like Omni-Man asked him to, his son with Anissa. He eventually winds up going by the name Kid Omni-Man in the comics. Like this is a superhero name that he chooses for himself. And just like Mark's DNA, the Viltrumite half of his DNA is so powerful that even though he's born half Thraxan, and he looks kind of purple here, the Viltrumite half of him essentially overpowers his body, and eventually he can become just as powerful as a normal Viltrumite. There are a couple exceptions to that, like his lifespan is a little bit shorter than, say, like Mark's lifespan because humans live much longer than Thraxans. But you can see here, as he gets older, eventually he looks totally Viltrumite, like you don't see any hint of coloration from the Thraxans on his skin. But part of the idea is that he matures way faster, so he's going to grow to adulthood, come into his powers way faster than Mark did. But essentially it's the same situation with Mark and the whole crossbreeding, like half human, half Viltrumite. His human half made it take longer for his powers to manifest, but eventually, given more time, his Viltrumite DNA will basically take over his body completely so that he'll be more like a full Viltrumite. He can go on to become the most powerful Viltrumite who's ever lived, because they are able to keep getting stronger the longer they live, the longer they train their bodies. Like they can just keep getting more and more powerful. It'd be kind of like a bodybuilder in real life, like Arnold Schwarzenegger if he lived forever and could just make his muscles stronger and stronger with more and more training. I guess you could say theoretically there is another person out there in the comics who could become more powerful than Mark because of some extra powers they get as a result of some subsequent crossbreeding between races, the way their powers all interact and combine. But you can't really talk about that without getting into spoilers because it's like way further off in the comics. A big part of the storyline for Oliver initially in the second half of Season 2 is Mark taking him home and Debbie getting used to him, but she eventually treats him like a surrogate mother, and Mark treats him like a regular little brother. So he basically becomes just another regular member of their family on Earth while Omni-Man is stuck in the Viltrumite prison. Generally, it's pretty positive between the three of them on Earth. He continues to grow super fast coming into his powers, but Mark has a lot of moments with him that are references to things that Omni-Man did with him when he was a child and then developed his powers. So basically it's Mark trying to use all the lessons that Omni-Man taught him before he revealed his secret, and everything went completely nuts at the end of Season 1. And part of the idea is that eventually Oliver becomes powerful enough to start becoming a superhero in his own right, using powers to help people, fight villains, eventually fight the Viltrumites with Omni-Man, everyone else. They kind of tease that in the first half of Season 2, particularly with the Coalition of Planets storyline in Thetis. Like he was thinking about, oh, now we have 2 extra Viltrumites who can help fight the other Viltrumites, but he didn't know about Oliver yet, which means 3 more Viltrumites to fight the other Viltrumites. Speaking of which, there was the teaser for Alan the Alien returning. They only hinted at Thetis' true origin story, so even though they made it seem like he was super shady, that's not exactly what was going on. It was a bit of a misdirect. I don't want to get too far into his backstory because that kind of gets into spoilers, but his scene at the end of the first half of the season was a teaser for Alan's return and him becoming way more powerful. Part of the idea, and they kind of teased this with his origin story and how he was modified to become the strongest member of their race. One of the quirks of his creation is that he grows stronger with damage that he takes. So the Viltrumites basically almost wound up killing him, like he's on the edge of death here. Part of the idea is that Thetis wants to trigger his regeneration process where his body will basically come back and be even stronger, so he'll get more and more powerful the bigger beatings that he takes. One of the other biggest teasers that they'll be paying off is Omni-Man telling Invincible about reading his books. Read my works. Part of the idea is that all of his books are actually based on real-life things that happened to him in his adventures before he came to Earth. All of his books are meant to be stories about beings who are capable of either killing or fighting the Viltrumites. Earlier in his life, when he was just working under Thragg as part of the normal Viltrumite military, he was ordered to go around and take out threats that could potentially take down the Viltrumites. So eventually when he came to Earth and he needed that day job, he wrote stories based on all these different beings that he encountered. The man with the invincible gun is meant to be about the space racer character that he encountered in an earlier mission. He's meant to be a parody of Lobo in the DC comics. But he also has a gun that operates a little bit like Thor's hammer. His gun fires invincible blasts that can shoot through anything. They can even kill Viltrumites, and the gun can only be fired by him. So if someone tried to steal the gun, it would just come right back to his hand, kind of like Thor's hammer returns to his hand when he calls it. And just like Thor's hammer, usually only Thor or only the worthy can actually pick it up. In the case of Space Racer, only he can pick it up. So part of the idea is that Omni-Man is telling Invincible to read his books and go find those people and use them to help fight the Viltrumites. One of the other books here, Savage Planet, Savage Beasts, is a reference to the Ragnars. Ragnars are these really giant alien beasts, kind of like alien dinosaurs, capable of injuring and killing Viltrumites. The gravity on their planet is also so dense that they've evolved to be just extremely tough, and that's why they can fight them. They're meant to be one of the few races, one of the few planets that the Viltrumites could not conquer. There's also the Calaxis plants, which are basically plants that are deadly enough to kill Viltrumites, and you have Battle Beast race too, and the idea of Battle Beast coming back into the story. Remember, he's also inside that Viltrumite prison. Eventually, Omni-Man teams up with Alan the Alien in Battle Beast to escape that prison. Maybe they'll save that for Season 3. That could be a Season 2 moment. Probably one of the other biggest teasers that they'll pay off is Angstrom Levy coming after Invincible again for revenge. They moved around some of the comic book plot a little bit, so some stuff happened way sooner than it did in the comics. Some stuff has been delayed a little bit. But I think they're trying to end Season 2 on a bang with a really huge fight between Angstrom Levy and Invincible from the comics. Eventually, he comes after Invincible's mother and Oliver. They battle it out, but it's not the last fight they ever have because they also eventually pay off a big teaser that Angstrom Levy dropped at the beginning of Season 2. This is also meant to pay off the introduction, like the very first opening scene of Season 2. So remember, they picked up in that alternate universe with the evil version of Invincible who sided with Omni-Man and tried to take over the planet. Later, we revisit that place at the end of Season 2. And Angstrom Levy tries to get more information about how they were actually able to capture him. Like, how did they actually wind up getting you? He's hoping to use that information to benefit him in taking down Invincible in the main universe. And before his accident, before Angstrom Levy turned evil, he was telling the Maulers about all the different universes and the different versions of Invincible that he'd encountered, and said that this main version was unique in that he actually turned good against his father, against the Viltrumites, and in most other universes, Invincible always, almost always, turned evil. So remember that scene where he pulled a bunch of the Maulers from different universes to fight Invincible? Eventually he does the same thing with a bunch of evil versions of Invincible, turning them on the main universe version. Invincible has been training his powers up, like he's slowly getting more and more powerful, but part of the idea is at the beginning of Season 2, all those different Maulers who by themselves aren't more powerful than him were able to overpower him. Imagine what that would be like if a bunch of other versions of Invincible were fighting him at the same time. So we might see a version of that at the end of Season 2, with him just fighting a bunch of alternate universe versions of himself who are all evil. And probably one of the other biggest changes, I don't know if they're going to save this for Season 3, is his whole relationship with Amber and Adam Eve. So in the comics, one of the big changes is that he actually kind of moves past that relationship with Amber pretty quickly. On the show, I think they prolonged that because they just want to delay his relationship with Adam Eve and like, okay, we'll save this for Season 3. So we'll see how much longer he stays with the Amber character. I'm guessing through at least the end of Season 2. That either might be the end of their relationship, or maybe they'll have broken up by the time Season 3 begins, or at some point during Season 3. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on between Invincible and Adam Eve, but it just sounds like that's so big they want to save a lot of that storyline for a little bit later. That's mostly why you saw her storyline being completely separate from Invincible's storyline in the first half of Season 2. Like, she has all of her own stuff going on that she's dealing with. But part of the idea is that they're adding a lot of storyline that wasn't in the comics because these are hour-long episodes, where normally for animated series, you only get half-hour episodes. So they just have a lot of extra room to fill out these storylines for different characters that normally wouldn't have gotten that story in the comics. We'll probably get a bigger trailer for Invincible Season 2 Episode 5 in a couple weeks. Of course, I'll do more videos as we get more footage. There was a bunch of stuff that dropped today, a bunch of teasers, a bunch of trailer for stuff coming this week. I'll try to do videos for everything as quickly as possible. There's a brand new Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix trailer that's coming tomorrow that should be up on my channel pretty early in the morning. There are a couple Marvel What If teasers that they dropped, so I'll try to do videos for all that stuff in the next couple of days. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss anything. Click here for that brand new Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer, and click here for all my Invincible episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.